Day 1. The following takes places on Saturday, July 26th. 1. Ryan tries to block out the sounds, tries to keep his head clear, to think straight. But it's difficult. Sarah is complaining about the pain. Caleb is sobbing. And from the other side of the door comes the relentless sounds of scraping nails and low moaning. "It really hurts," Sarah moans. "I think I need to go to the ER. Could you try calling them again, Ryan?" "I tried calling 100 times already," Ryan mutters without looking up at her. "I keep telling you, there is no signal down here." The basement is stiflingly warm and stuffy. Cobwebs are hanging in threads from the ceiling. The room is crammed full of old furniture, cardboard boxes, worn-out books, and cast-off clothes. The windows are sitting high and are too narrow for a person to pass through. Not even Caleb is able to squeeze out. A few rays of dusty, orange sunlight are streaming through, reminding them of the scorching, hot summer day outside. The heat wave is going on its 3rd week. In the middle of the room hangs a naked light bulb. Ryan wonders how much light it will provide if they're still here come nightfall. Another low moan from the other side of the door. Caleb wipes his nose on his sleeve. Do you think we should put more stuff in front of the door, Ryan? That box doesn't look very heavy." "Why do I have to make every little decision?" Ryan thinks. "Who the hell named me captain?" He bites back the anger and says in a moderately calm voice, "The box is heavy enough. It's full of porcelain. I almost couldn't drag it over there. She won't be able to move it." But it doesn't really matter," Ryan interrupts. "Since the door is locked and the key is on our side, she's been out there for," he checks his watch, 45 minutes now, and so far she hasn't tried to pick the lock. She hasn't even grabbed the knob. I don't think she has much brains left, so don't worry about the door." Sarah gives off another groan of pain. What the hell's even happened to her? "She's a fucking zombie, that's what's happened to her," Ryan grunts. "Haven't you ever seen a zombie movie? Dawn of the Dead? World War Z? Ring any bells?" "Zombies aren't real," Sarah sneers. "And don't talk to me like I'm stupid just because I don't watch the same nasty movies as you do." "Can't believe you two are dating," Caleb mutters. Ryan sends him a look, but can't help but smile despite himself. He likes Caleb. And Caleb is right. In fact, Ryan and Sarah probably would have broken up this morning if the day hadn't turned to shit. Ryan had set his mind. He was going to tell her straight up that he didn't want to go out with her anymore. That was the reason he agreed to go on the paper route with her in the first place. He didn't know she had also talked Caleb into coming along. "Jesus, it's still bleeding," Sarah complains. "How can it still be bleeding? It's just a scratch." Ryan looks over at her and sees her uncoiling the towel from around her arm. "What are you doing?" he says. "You need to keep it tight." She darts him a sour look. Her mascara has left dark traces down her cheeks. "So, you're suddenly a doctor, are you?" Ryan is very close to being fed up. He tries to find a way to get them out of this basement, tries to think, but he keeps getting interrupted. And the noises from the door are starting to get on his nerves. A drop of sweat rolls down his nose. He blows it away, thinking, of all the ways I could have spent my Saturday. "Hello," Sarah says loudly, waving at him. "I'm talking to you." "What?" Ryan asks through gritted teeth. "I don't think this stupid towel is working. We need to find some bandages or something. There has to be a first aid kit around here somewhere. Check those shelves over there, Caleb." She drops the towel on the concrete floor and points. Caleb gets up. "Sit down, Caleb," Ryan says. "There is no first aid kit. I already checked." Caleb hesitates, unsure whom to obey. Sarah rounds on Ryan. "And what if you missed it? You didn't really look, did you? You're not the one bleeding, after all, so why would you even give a fuck?" Ryan is on his feet and strides to Sarah in 3 long paces. He bends down, grabs the towel, and wraps it around her arm. "Put that thing back on," he sneers. Sarah begins to struggle. Don't! Let go of me! Ryan manages to tie a knot, tightening it fiercely. There! That's how tight it should be, got it? Sarah gives off a cry and tries to pull her arm away while taking a swing at him with the other hand. Ryan catches her wrist and is just about to twist it when Caleb shouts, "Stop it! Both of you, stop!" The struggle stops. For a moment, Ryan and Sarah just scowl at each other. Then Ryan turns to walk away. But then he notices something. What the hell? What's wrong with your skin? Sarah turns her back to him. Mind your own business. Sarah, he says, show me your arm. Apparently, she picks up on something in his voice because she turns back and holds out her arm hesitantly. It's still bleeding, she mutters. And it's true. A thin stream of pink blood runs from the cut in Sarah's forearm and drips to the floor. But the blood doesn't concern Ryan. He's looking at her skin. Sarah is tan all year round, as she regularly goes to tanning salons. But around the cut, the color seems to be draining from the skin, leaving a pale, grayish hue. I hadn't noticed till now, she says uncertainly. You think it could be blood poisoning or something? I don't think blood poisoning sets in that fast. What did you say she cut you with? A knife. Are you sure? Well, it all happened so quickly. I didn't really get a chance to... What kind of knife? Did you see it? Yes, I mean, no, I didn't see it, but I felt it. When she attacked me. What did you feel, exactly? Why? Does it matter? Sarah shakes her head in annoyed confusion. What's wrong? Why are you both staring at me like that? Caleb has joined them, and like Ryan, he looks at his sister with wide, knowing eyes. I don't think she had a knife, he says stiffly. Why would she use a knife? She's a zombie. Zombies don't use weapons. It's so obvious, Ryan should have seen it earlier. But the situation is so surreal, he didn't give it a second thought. Tell us what happened, Sarah, he says. And for the first time in a long time, his voice is soft, almost loving. Sarah's lip starts to quiver. It happened just as we entered the living room. I heard her come from behind, so I spun around. She tried stabbing me, but she tripped over something, like an ottoman, I think. And when she fell down, that's when the knife cut me. But you didn't actually see the knife? Ryan asks. No, but her fingernails were long, Caleb whispers. I noticed. Sarah looks at the cut on her arm. All right, maybe it was her nail and not a knife. What difference does that make? What difference? Ryan thinks. What difference? Sarah wasn't lying. She really hasn't watched any zombie flicks. If she had, she would have known right away what a cut from a fingernail means. But Caleb knows. Ryan can tell from the look of terror and disbelief on his face as he turns his head and stares blankly at Ryan. It's like an unspoken question passes between the boys in that moment. Two small words. How long? What is it? Sarah asks, audible fear in her voice now. Why are you just staring at each other? Hello? Talk to me! Toi jun bien tablai van ban o fan tu tan kach joan van soi teo chuan je de jok hon. Ten han vat van juk gyu theo lua chon kwaban. Ryan, Sarah, va Caleb. 2. The temperature in the basement steadily rises, as does the pain in Sarah's arm. And not a minute passes without her telling them so. The skin on her forearm gradually changes color. It's starting to take on a greenish tone. Caleb just sits by the wall, staring at nothing. Ryan can see his lips moving, like he's silently talking to himself. Ryan glances at Sarah, who keeps checking her phone for a signal. Of course, she didn't believe him when he explained to her how serious the situation is, that the infection will probably become fatal within a few hours, and that she will most likely end up like the lady outside the door. Sarah kept stubbornly saying it was only blood poisoning, and that she just needed to go to the hospital. But Ryan knows her too well. He can tell she's scared. He hides his face in his sweaty palms. How did they end up here? Less than an hour ago, they were in his car, driving down the road, sweating and listening to music. They're almost at the end of the route, only 4 stops left. Caleb is in the back seat next to the box of newspapers. Sarah has tilted back her seat and put her feet up on the dashboard. I can't believe you bought a car without air conditioning. Honestly, what's the point in having a car if it doesn't have aircon? We're burning up. Ryan pretends not to hear her and concentrates on the GPS. They're a few miles outside town. The house appears at the end of the long, dusty gravel road. He parks in the courtyard. It's your turn, Caleb, Sarah says. If she doesn't come to the door, just go inside and put it on the table in the scullery. That's what I usually do. Caleb obediently leaves the car and trudges to the front door, a rolled-up newspaper in his hand. Ryan turns down the radio slightly and looks sideways at Sarah. She's wearing sunglasses, so he can't see her eyes. Good. That'll make it easier. He's just about to say it. The words are on his lips. I don't think it's working out between us anymore. But he can't get them out. He just can't. The moment is not right. Instead, he says, "Who lives here?" "Some older lady," she yawns. "She's kind of weird. I think she suffers from dementia or something." "Does she live alone?" "Yeah. Can you believe it? I mean, who the hell wants to live out here in the middle of nowhere all by themselves?" At that moment, Caleb screams from inside the house. Ryan and Sarah look at each other for a brief second. Then they each open their doors and jump out. They run to the front door. As soon as Ryan enters the house, time seems to speed up tenfold. He briefly notices the weird decor. Colorful stones and crystals everywhere, faces cut out of wood, a large bamboo flute, dried flowers dangling from strings in the ceiling. He also registers a bad smell. But there's no time to think before the woman steps out a few feet in front of him. Ryan has played a lot of Resident Evil and watched every episode of The Walking Dead. He knows what a zombie looks like. Her eyes are pale yet piercing, her mouth contorted into a snarl, the grimace made even more pronounced because of the missing piece of her lower lip. It looks like it might have been torn off, revealing the gray teeth and pink gums. Blood has run down her chin and stained the front of the dress, which once was white but now looks more like a butcher's apron. Her long silver hair hangs in a thin, whip-like braid. She reaches out her arms and staggers towards him on bony, wobbly legs, while producing a low, rumbling growl from deep down her throat. Then, everything turns to chaos. Tipped over furniture, yells and screams, grabbing and pushing. Sarah screaming, "She cut me! She cut me!" Ryan tries to get to the front door, but is cut off, and suddenly they're all cornered, a door behind them. Ryan yanks it open, revealing a dim staircase leading down to the basement. They have no other choice. They flee down into the darkness. And now, here they are, in the dim, dusty heat. The zombie lady has followed them down the stairs and is now waiting on the other side of the door. Scraping and moaning, scraping and moaning. Sarah gives off a tortured sound. She wipes her forehead. Christ, I'm sweating buckets. I think I might have a fever. I really need to see a doctor. She glances at the door. Doesn't she ever leave? Ryan just shakes his head. Well, she has to leave sometime. Sarah persists. Doesn't she get sleepy or something? Nope. She'll keep at it until she rots. Sarah wrinkles her nose. Don't say stuff like that. The smell down here is bad enough. She gets up and goes to the door. Hello, can you hear me? Could you please move away from the door? I need to get out, but please don't try to hurt me, okay? The scraping noises grow louder, more eager, like the zombie can sense Sarah standing right on the other side. Ryan gets up. Don't open the door. Sarah rolls her eyes. I'm not going to open the door as long as she's out there. Do you think I'm a complete moron? Actually, yeah, I do think that, since only a moron would try talking sense into a zombie. He jabs himself with a finger in the temple. She's not a person anymore. She's a walking corpse. How many times do I need to tell you? The only thing on her mind is fresh meat. She wants to… Yeah, I know, she wants to eat us all alive. Sarah sneers. Right, whatever. She goes back to the chair and slumps down. Then she lights up. Hey, what if we're completely quiet? You're the only one still talking, Ryan remarks as he sits back down. Sarah pretends not to hear him. Maybe she'll forget about us if she can't hear us. Maybe she'll go back upstairs. You know, to look for someone else to eat. The idea has actually crossed Ryan's mind. It depends on whether her senses are still working, or if she's driven by instincts. Maybe she doesn't need to hear us. Maybe she can simply sense we're here. He looks at Caleb. What do you think? Caleb blinks, obviously surprised to be asked for his opinion. Well, I don't know. I guess it's worth a try. Right, Sarah says. From now on, no one makes a sound. They all fall silent, all except for the zombie. It goes on scraping, moaning, tirelessly, insatiable. 3/2 hours passes by. Caleb looks briefly in a box of books before lying down on a blanket, curled up like a dog. Ryan is slumped over on his seat, almost nodding off despite the heat. His clothes are sticking damply to his skin. His mouth is dry. Both of the 2 narrow windows are open wide, but only a warm, lazy breeze seeps in. Sarah is the first one to break the silence. Right, it's obviously not working, she snaps. She's not going to leave. She sighs. I'm just so fucking thirsty. Honestly, I'm going to die if I don't get something to drink soon. We're all going to die if we don't get something to drink soon, Ryan thinks, wiping a dangling drop of sweat from his brow. Look, Caleb says, getting up. I found this in one of the boxes. He comes over, holding out an old photo album for the others to see. It must be her when she was young, Sarah says, as Caleb flips through the pages, pointing to a slim woman with long blonde hair. The photos tell a story of the woman going on a journey to somewhere warm and tropical. The locals are black. Where is it? Sarah asks. Africa or something? Caleb slips out one of the photos and checks the backside. Haiti, it says. The photos show a wedding, not a traditional one in a church with a bride in a white dress. Instead, the woman is standing with her black husband under the open sky on a beach at sunset. All around them, the guests are dressed and painted in what seems to be the traditional local outfits. She married one of them, Sarah says. How sweet. Caleb flips through the pages. Pictures of the woman and her husband in this house. A picture of the woman with a large, pregnant belly. A family photo. The woman, her husband, and a half-black boy. The woman's hair grows silvery, her skin starts to wrinkle, and her son becomes a man. Him kissing a red-haired woman. The last of the photos shows a small mulatto girl, smiling between her mom and dad. As they reach the end of the album, the spell is broken, and Ryan gets to his feet. Listen, I think I know how we can get out of here. Sarah gives off a tiny exclamation of excitement, and Caleb straightens up. We can't contact anyone outside. We can't even hope for someone to come by. She lived alone out here, so it could be days before she has a visitor. I thought of the mailman, Caleb interjects. Don't they usually come on the weekends too? Maybe, Ryan says, but that wouldn't make a difference. The mailbox is up by the road. I noticed it when we came. The mailman won't come anywhere near the house. Caleb bows his head. Ryan nods towards the door. It doesn't seem like she'd like it is planning to give up anytime soon, which means we need to find a way out ourselves, and the sooner the better. If we just keep sitting here, we'll lose strength. And Sarah's arm... He glances at her. We need to get her to the hospital so they can treat her. He avoids Caleb's eyes, yet he can hear the lie in his own voice. If zombie movies taught him anything, it's that once you get bitten or scratched, the show's over. There is no vaccine, no cure, no nothing. The victim can only wait for fever, coma, death. And then, life once more. Sounds fine with me, Sarah says, sounding a bit more optimistic. But how do we do it? As soon as we open the door, she'll come barging in. That's right, and I can't think of a way to lure her away from the door. That's why we need to let her in. Caleb lets out a gasp. We can't. There's no other way? As far as I can tell, we have 3 options once we open the door. 1, we can try and slip past her and get up the stairs. It'll be difficult though, since there's 3 of us, and there isn't a lot of room to move around. I think there's a big risk not all 3 of us will make it out of here unharmed. 2, we can try and lure her into a trap. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. If we can make her trip or throw a blanket over her head, just confuse her for a few seconds, that might be all we need to get past her. That sounds dangerous, Caleb says. We need to get pretty close to her if we're going to trip her or throw something over her head. I know. That's why I'm partial to the 3rd option. Ryan gets up and makes his way through the basement. Against the wall in the corner leans a piece of rusty iron pipe. Ryan grabs it and weighs it in his grasp. It feels heavy and cold and assuring. He looks at Sarah and Caleb. The 3rd option is fighting our way past her. Sarah raises her brow. You're not serious, are you? You want to hit her with that thing? That's assault. And she's old. What if you kill her? That's the idea, Ryan says dryly. Sarah stares at him in disbelief. Are you insane? She's already dead, Caleb reminds his sister. Killing her again would actually be kind, like an act of mercy. That's what they always say in the movies anyway. Sarah shakes her head. You two need to get a grip. This is not a movie. And it's not some crazy monster on the other side of that door. She might be sick or something, but she's still just an old lady. Did you forget about the photos already? She has kids and grandkids and everything. We can't just kill her with a pipe? We can, Ryan says, but he doesn't feel quite as convinced as he sounds. Because it's going to be him doing the killing. Sarah is obviously out of the picture. She couldn't hit the floor if she fell down, especially not with her wounded arm. And Caleb isn't strong enough. Ryan grips the pipe firmer. He used to play rounders when he was little, and he's confident he can put the zombie to rest with one good swing, providing he doesn't miss. You'll only get 1 try, Caleb says darkly. If you miss, she'll get you instead. I might have time for 2, maybe 3 tries, Ryan says. Look. He swings the pipe swiftly. It's heavier than he expects, and it slips out of his grip, whooshes through the air, and hits the wall with a bang. Sarah screams. Watch it! Are you out of your mind? You could have hit me! On the other side of the door, the zombie scratches more eagerly, apparently sensing the commotion. Ryan picks up the pipe. His palms are reddish-brown. It was because of the rust, he mutters. He gives it another go, more carefully this time. But he still has trouble swinging the pipe hard enough without losing his grip. It seems Caleb is right. He'll only get 1 shot. I vote for the 2nd option, Sarah says. One of you guys get behind the door with the blanket, and as soon as she enters, you throw it over her head and push her down. When she falls, we all make a run for it. Ryan considers the idea. What if one of us doesn't make it out before she gets back up? Then that person would be seriously fucked. He shakes his head. No, I still think eliminating the threat is our best course of action. Eliminating the threat, Sarah repeats. Just listen to yourself, would you? You think you're some kind of soldier? You couldn't even swing that thing without dropping it. I told you, that was because of the rust. Now I'm prepared for it. It won't happen again. And what if it does? Then we're all fucked. Ryan scoffs at her. He turns to Caleb. What do you think? We need a deciding vote. Caleb doesn't answer. He seems to be studying the place where the pipe hit the wall. Then he says, I vote for a fourth solution. He points, revealing a hole in the wall. Ryan comes closer. What the hell? I thought it was a brick wall. No, it's something much more smoldery. Plaster, I think. And it's not very thick either. There seems to be another room on the other side. Ryan bends down and looks through the hole. It's too dark to see anything, but an unpleasant smell seeps through. Phew, he says, pulling away. Something stinks really bad in there. Who cares? Sarah exclaims. Just hurry up and break down that wall, will you? Ryan pushes Caleb aside, raises the iron pipe, and starts swinging. 4. The wall proves surprisingly easy to break down. For every swing of the pipe, large, crumbling pieces come off. Soon the air is filled with white dust. Ryan is panting and sweating as he pulls back and swings, pulls back and swings. The putrid smell gets more and more poignant as the hole in the wall grows larger. Within 5 minutes, he has made an opening wide enough for them to pass through. He puts aside the pipe and just stands there for a moment, heaving for breath and feeling faint from the heat. Right, Caleb says, looking from Ryan to Sarah. Who's first? Let me just catch my breath, Ryan says. Then I'll go. Sarah gets up resolutely. Sorry, but I'm getting out of here right now. She manages 2 steps before she starts wobbling. It looks like her legs simply give way, and she stumbles into an old dresser. Caleb jumps forward to catch her. Are you all right? Yeah, sure, she mumbles. I just got a little dizzy, that's all. Caleb helps her to sit back down. Ryan studies her face closely. Her cheeks have turned feverish red. The sweat is beading on her forehead. The skin on her wounded arm has turned alarmingly dark. It's going a lot faster than I thought, Ryan thinks, swallowing a lump tasting like drywall. Really hope we find a way out through the next room, or Caleb and I will soon have a much bigger problem on our hands. He pushes the thought aside, turns to the hole in the wall. The stench is really bad now. He can also hear something buzzing in there. He holds his nose as he gets out his cell phone and activates the flashlight. The next room has no windows. It seems larger than the one they're in right now, but that might only be because it's not stuffed with junk. The only pieces of furniture are an oblong dining table in the corner, and in the center something which reminds him of a small altar. It's only knee-high and covered in a red tablecloth. Around the altar, in a circle on the floor, are 6 wooden stools all facing the center, as though someone recently held a small round table conference. What's in there? Caleb asks, coming closer. Yuck, what's that horrid smell? I don't know, but look. Ryan points the light into the corner. A wooden ladder leads to a hatch in the ceiling. Thin beams of daylight are streaming through the cracks. It's a way out, Caleb gasps. What's in there? Sarah asks from behind them. Ryan steps in through the hole. He moves carefully along the wall until he reaches the ladder. He crawls up a few steps so he can reach the hatch. He gives it a push, but it doesn't give. He pushes harder and hears the clinging of metal. God damn it, it's locked from the other side. Caleb lets out a moan. Ryan steps back down and notices a switch on the wall. He flips it. A big light bulb turns on reluctantly. A loud gasp from Caleb makes Ryan turn around. So that's where the smell is coming from. On each stool sits a small pile of furry mess. They are gutted animals, cats, rabbits, even a tiny dog. They have all been flayed and their skin nailed to the seats. The bared flesh is dark with rot, and an army of flies is buzzing around the feast. Blood has trickled down the legs of the stools and produced small puddles on the floor. Ryan looks around and notices strange symbols drawn on the walls with chalk. From the ceiling hangs a variety of objects in strings, such as large black feathers, dried branches, and thin bones. "Holy shit," Caleb whispers. "She's made some sort of crazy ritual down here." Ryan runs his forearm across his cheeks and realizes he's sweating even more profusely now. The temperature is even higher in this room. The stench from the rotting animals has made its way into his sinuses. He can almost taste it. "We gotta get out of here," Sarah says, as she steps tentatively through the wall. We need... Her voice trails off as her eyes go blank. "Caleb, would you please... I'm a little dizzy." Caleb tries to catch her, but this time she collapses, slipping through his arms and onto the floor, her eyes halfway open, her mouth still trying to speak. "Sarah? Sarah?" Caleb calls out her name and shakes her gently, but he doesn't get any comprehensive response from Sarah, so he looks up at Ryan. "She's fainted." Ryan waves off a fly. "I could tell she was getting worse. I guess we'll have to carry her when we..." A bump from upstairs. Both of them look up at the ceiling. "Was that her?" Caleb whispers. "The zombie lady, I mean." Ryan goes back to the hole in the wall, sticks his head through and listens for a moment. He can still hear the sound of scraping nails from the door. He turns to Caleb. "It wasn't her. She's still by the door." "The door," Sarah mutters without opening her eyes. Another bump from above. The ceiling gives off a low creak. Ryan and Caleb stare at each other. "Someone else is in the house," Caleb croaks. 5. Ryan has been standing on the ladder with his ear pressed against the hatch for 2 minutes, when Caleb no longer can take the silence. "Do you hear anything?" he whispers. Ryan steps back down onto the floor, shaking his head in mild confusion. "It doesn't sound like a big person. The steps are very light. Perhaps it's a child. But as far as I can tell, whoever is up there is just wandering about in circles." Caleb bites his lip. "Do you think it's a zombie?" "That's the million-dollar question, I guess," Ryan says, shrugging. "Should we try and call out for them?" Ryan runs a hand through his hair, which is greasy from sweat and dust. "If it is a zombie, we don't want to draw its attention. But if it's a living person, they might be able to open the hatch and let us out." "Zombie," Sarah echoes in a faint mutter. Ryan darts a glance at her. Although he has come to more or less hate her over the last few months, it still pains him to see her like this. Caleb has taken the blanket from the other room, rolled it up, and put it under her head. Her wounded arm is resting on her stomach. The sweat is pouring from her face. The eyes are rolling around beneath the lids. Her legs twitch now and then. She's going into a coma, Ryan thinks. Eventually, she'll die. After that, it's only a matter of time before she opens her eyes again. He shivers violently despite the stifling heat. "I think we should call out," Caleb says, licking the sweat from his upper lip. "If it is a zombie, we can't get out that way anyway. It makes no difference whether it knows we're here or not." Ryan takes a deep breath. "You're right. We might as well try." "Call for him, Ryan!" Sarah exclaims suddenly. "Just call for him!" They both look at the sweating, fevered girl on the floor. It's almost like she has been following the conversation, but it's obvious to Ryan that she's merely delirious. Caleb starts sniveling. Ryan reaches out and squeezes his shoulder. "We can still get her to the hospital. As soon as we get out of here, we run straight to the car and..." Caleb looks up at him, tears in his eyes. "I know the rules, you know." Ryan can't think of anything else to say. Sarah twitches again. "Are we just supposed to Leave her? Caleb asks, blinking as a fly lands on his cheek. If we get out of here, I mean. I think we might have to. For now, anyway. Once we get a hold of the police, they'll have to come and get her. You think there's still police? Why shouldn't there be? Caleb shrugs. Because the world is probably ending. Ryan's mouth glides open. The thought hasn't even crossed his mind. What if Caleb is right? What if this is the zombie apocalypse? Even if they make it out of here, they just might meet a world where everything is falling apart, where the zombies are rapidly taking over, and where the remaining survivors are struggling to keep alive. His tongue suddenly feels way too big and sticky. What about Dad? Or Mom? Or Christian? Or all the guys from work? Are they walking around as zombies right now? We'd better not think about that right now, he manages to say, shoving aside the images. First, we need to focus on getting out of this fucking basement. All right, but... Caleb glances at his sister. What if we can't get the hatch open? Ryan catches his drift. Then we'll have to tie her up. Caleb looks ill just thinking about it, but he nods bravely. Ryan goes to the ladder and looks up at the hatch. Then he calls out, "Hello? Can you hear us up there?" They listen. Sarah mutters something. Ryan can hear the steps coming across the floor. They stop right above the hatch. A few seconds of dead silence follow. "We're down here," Ryan yells. "In the basement, right below you." They listen again. Another second or two passes by in silence. Then, there's the sounds of two muffled bumps. Ryan imagines how the person drops down on his knees. He prays that whoever is up there will answer him within the next second or two, or at least begin to work the lock. But it's a completely different sound that comes from the hatch. The sound of scraping nails. Ryan feels his heart sink. He turns his head to look at Caleb. The hopeful expression on Caleb's face slowly crumbles. "Oh no," he breathes. "It's another zombie." 6 Caleb looks around. "What do you think happened here?" Ryan tries not to look at the gutted animals. "Something really fucked up." "It almost looks like a sacrifice," Caleb goes on. Ryan shrugs. He has almost gotten used to the stench and the flies constantly landing on him by now. Maybe she was a witch or something. Caleb approaches the table. It has a wide range of jars and pots, stones, crystals, and wooden figurines. There's a row of bird skulls and an old, thick book. Caleb opens it and leafs through the pages. "What does it say?" Ryan asks. "I don't know. It's not written in Danish." "Is it English?" "No, it's not a language I've ever seen, but it has some pretty sick illustrations." Ryan tries to say something, but starts coughing instead. "Christ, I could really use a glass of water right now. My throat is dry as sand." "Check this out," Caleb mutters, still leafing through the book. "I think she used this when she did the ritual." Ryan goes to see. Caleb stops at a page with a single, large drawing which resembles the lineup in the room. A lot of incomprehensible words are written around the illustration. "What do you think was the point of the ritual?" Caleb asks. "No idea. I didn't go to Hogwarts." Caleb doesn't seem to hear the joke. He just starts turning pages again. Ryan goes to check on Sarah. She's fallen still, and it's almost like she's just sleeping normally. But as he crouches down to feel her cheek, he finds it glowing hot. Her arm is dark and swollen, the skin abnormally distended and shiny. The infection obviously already reached the fingers, which are thick like sausages. A memory comes to him. That night they met at the disco. He recalls the tinkling sensation in his stomach when Sarah slid her fingers in between his. He feels a deep stab of pain and sympathy. Don't think about that now. He straightens up and takes a deep breath. Suddenly, he just wants to get out of here. Right now. We need to choose one of the ways, Caleb, he says firmly. I vote for the hatch. If it's only a kid up there, it'll be easier for us to get past it. Plus, if we break open the hatch, it'll probably fall through. If we're lucky, it'll break its legs. Caleb nods. You're right. Let's try. Maybe we need to look for something to use as a weapon. How about this? Caleb takes something from the table, which Ryan didn't notice till now. It's a huge knife, the blade black with dried-up blood. Holy shit! That's the biggest knife I've ever seen! I know, it was just lying here, next to the book. I think she used it to flay the animals. Right. Now we only need something to punch our way through the hatch. I guess this is our best option. He picks up the iron pipe and goes to the ladder. He darts a look at Caleb. Would you keep an eye on your sister? Caleb nods, his face solemn. Ryan takes a few steps up the ladder and starts punching the pipe up into the hatch. It's made of wood, and it'll take quite some time to break through. His punches only leave small marks. After a minute or so, he takes a break and rests his arm. From the other side of the hatch, he can hear the scratching has grown faster and louder. It's helping me, he thinks, and almost bursts into laughter. It's trying to break through from the other side. Caleb has brought the book and is now sitting next to Sarah, studying it. Caleb? He looks up. Yeah? Maybe you shouldn't, be that close to her. Caleb glances at his sister, then moves a few yards away. 7. Ryan has been banging away at the hatch for some minutes when Caleb speaks. Ryan stops and looks down at him. What's that? She's written something in Danish, he says, pointing to a place in the book. It's on the last few pages. Huh, Ryan says, not feeling particularly interested. Small chips have started coming off the hatch. He's about halfway through, and he's earned a short break, so he places the pipe under his arm and rests his hands. A couple of sore blisters have appeared on his palms. It's very confusing, Caleb goes on, frowning. But I think I figured out what the ritual was for. Listen to this. He starts reading aloud. 7 lives are needed. Their blood must flow from them and find its way to the new veins where it once flowed warmly but now has turned cold. Once more, it will flow with warmth and life. Caleb looks up at this point, nodding towards the table. I think the animals were sacrifices. She killed them to bring something else to life. But there's only 6 of them, Ryan points out. Where is the 7th? Caleb swallows audibly. Get this. Farther down it says, Oh, my beloved darling, you most beautiful child. Your little good angel is dead and gone, but your big good angel can never die. It's my fault. Take my blood so you can once again live. Silence falls over the basement as Caleb stops, except for the scratching noises from the hatch and the ragged heaving of Sarah's breath. So there was a child, Ryan mutters. And it died? Yeah, I think so. Perhaps there was an accident. And then the woman used this ritual to bring the kid back to life. She needed 7 sacrifices, and the 7th was herself, Ryan concludes. Fuck me, it's like something out of a horror movie. The last thing she wrote was, Awaken, my dearest. I guess that was right before she did it. Ryan points to the hatch. So that's the child up there? I think so, yeah. Ryan tries to process the information. I guess that's good news then. Caleb looks baffled. How so? Because this was where it started. It means the world hasn't ended, only this house. But we don't know if they have been outside the house. If they had, why would they have returned? I think they've been trapped here until we came by. None of them were able to open a door or a window. Caleb doesn't exactly look thrilled. So no one else but us knows about it. And if we die, there'll be 3 more zombies in this house. So when the next poor guy shows up, they won't know until it's too late, and the zombies will get out. Ryan thinks for a moment. You're right. I guess it's up to us. We can't let them get away. We need to find a way to keep them here until we can reach the police and... He's interrupted as Sarah suddenly gives off a loud, rasping gasp. She doesn't open her eyes, but her face contorts into a painful grimace. The flies are crawling all over her. It won't be long, Ryan mutters. We need to find something to tie her up with. He steps down from the ladder and goes to the first room to look. The best he can find is a piece of cord. Back in the other room, he finds an old, rusty electric heater mounted to the wall. Help me move her, Caleb. Together, the boys gently drag Sarah across the floor. It's easy, since she has suddenly gone completely limp and quiet again. Her skin is no longer particularly warm, either. Ryan figures she has slipped into a coma. He's amazed at the speed of the infection. He pulls the cord tightly to test its strength. It seems very strong, so he ties one end to the heater, making sure to do a few extra knots just to be sure. This is where they always fuck up in the movies. Some fool doesn't tie the rope properly, so the knot unties itself once the zombie wakes up and starts tugging. Ryan ties the other end of the cord around Sarah's ankle and makes it as tight as he can, with 3 strong knots. Caleb looks at his sister, a pained expression on his face. How long do you think it'll be? Ryan reaches out to feel her pulse. It's very faint. Not long, he whispers. We better keep our distance from this point on. Do you, want to say goodbye? Caleb squeezes his lips firmly together. He kneels down in front of Sarah. Ryan doesn't want to look, so he turns his back, but he can still hear Caleb whisper. Sarah? I don't know if you can hear me, but I hope so. I'm really sorry this had to happen. I wish I could make it better. You were a good big sister to me. Most of the time, anyway. He sniffs wetly. And by the way, I was the one who hid your phone that time you couldn't find it for 3 days. I did it because I was mad at you. I'm sorry. Caleb gets to his feet and wipes his eyes with the sleeve of his t-shirt. I'm sorry, Caleb. She didn't deserve to die. Caleb nods and walks to the table. Ryan stays with Sarah for a moment, looking at her, feeling like he needs to say something but unsure what. I love you. Seems so tacky, so movie-like. Instead, he just whispers, Bye, Sarah. Sorry we need to leave you like this. He's just about to turn away when he notices something different about her. He kneels down and puts a finger under her nose. No wind. Sarah isn't breathing anymore. He turns his head and looks at Caleb. Caleb stares back at him, shifting his weight from foot to foot. Is she dead? Ryan nods. Caleb breaks down into tears. He slumps to the floor and sobs into his palms. Why is this happening? Why us? Couldn't it have been someone else who had to take out those stupid papers? Ryan feels a hard lump in his throat. The whole thing is still too surreal to take in. It's gone way too fast. He can't believe Sarah is gone. Not really. It starts spinning behind his eyes. A sharp headache is throbbing right underneath his temples. He has never been this thirsty in his life. He goes and picks up the pipe and starts banging away at the hatch once more. Then, Caleb calls out his name. Ryan turns around. Caleb is standing a few feet away, stiff as a board, pointing to Sarah. Sarah is lying in the exact same position. She hasn't moved an inch, but her eyes are open. They're staring up into the ceiling. They're blank, but alive. 8, Ryan bangs away faster and faster. He's no longer worried about the zombie child waiting on the other side of the hatch. He doesn't register the dust or the wood chips hitting his face and getting into his eyes. He doesn't even feel the blisters burning on his hands. He just wants to get out of here before Sarah comes back to life. Caleb has gone to the farthest corner. He's just standing there, staring across the room at his sister who's still lying there, not moving, eyes open wide. Almost through. Almost through. The muscles in his arms are aching. Between the blows, he can hear the zombie scratching eagerly right above him. And then it happens. A piece the size of a fist breaks off. Ryan lowers the pipe, panting, and stares up through the hole. For a moment, nothing happens. Then a milky white eye appears on the other side. The dead gaze fastens on Ryan as he feels his skin contracting all over his back. The eye disappears, and instead a tiny grayish hand comes through the hole. Judging from the remains of sky-blue nail polish, the hand once belonged to a girl. The hand grabs and flails eagerly in empty air. "I think it's her," Ryan says. "The girl from the photo album." Caleb doesn't reply. Ryan turns to look at him and immediately sees what Caleb sees. Sarah is sitting up. If he didn't know better, he could almost be tempted to think Sarah's body might have fought off the infection, that she's no longer ill. But one good look at her face is enough to break that illusion. The 17-year-old girl, who less than half an hour ago was Ryan's annoying girlfriend, is dead. The creature now sitting there, glaring around with an empty expression, has nothing to do with Sarah. It looks like her, but behind the eyes is nothing human, only hunger. The Sarah zombie bares its tiny white teeth and growls from deep in its throat. It starts getting to its feet with cumbersome movements, like an overgrown toddler. Something flies across Ryan's brain at that moment. He has seen a lot of zombie movies. In some of them, the zombies run around like people on speed. They can sprint, jump, and even climb fences. But in other movies, they are slow and wobbly and move around like sleepwalkers. Those movies have always been his favorites, because the zombies are a lot more terrifying when they move slowly. Sarah obviously belongs to that category. It takes her half a minute to stand up. When she finally manages, she immediately reaches both arms out towards Ryan and takes 2 steps forward. For a moment, Ryan is certain the cord won't hold. It will simply snap, and Sarah will walk right over to him, put her arms around his neck, like she used to do back when they were still in love. But this time, it wouldn't be to kiss him. Instead, she would bury her fingernails in his neck and bite off his ear. He sees it all very clearly. The cord holds. The pull of it is almost enough to throw her off balance. She stumbles and snarls, regains her balance, and tries for another step forward. The cord stops her once more. She tries again. And again. She doesn't look down, not even for a second. She's not at all concerned with finding out what is holding her back. Her eyes are only fixed on Ryan. Her first meal, waiting right there, a few yards in front of her. She steps forward again. Is stopped. Again. Stopped. Ryan forces himself to regain focus, and he looks over at Caleb, only to see a boy who has obviously left the situation mentally. His gaze is distant, his lips are trembling, and he is absent-mindedly shaking his head. "Caleb? Caleb? Caleb?" Caleb turns his head and looks at Ryan, his eyes coming somewhat into focus again. "I'm almost through the hatch now. As soon as it breaks, we need to be quick. So be ready, okay?" Caleb nods. Ryan turns back to the hatch in the ceiling. The zombie girl's arm is still groping around for anything to grab. He directs another blow at the hatch. The zombie girl's fingers brush across the back of his hand. "Fucking hell," he hisses and pulls away. "She almost scratched me. Get away!" He hits the zombie across the hand, hard. It only makes her grope more vigorously. "Ryan," Caleb says. His voice is weirdly dreamlike. "I think the heater is coming loose." Ryan turns his head. The cord around Sarah's leg still looks in pretty fine shape. But the electric heater, which he tied it to, has come off the wall at one end. Now it's dangling crookedly off the wall, threatening to come off entirely with every tug from Sarah's leg. Fuck, fuck, fuck! Why didn't I think to check the stupid thing was securely attached to the wall? Desperately, he turns to the hatch again, hitting it 3 times in a row, the woodwork rustling with every blow. The zombie girl grabs at the pipe, but catches Ryan's wrist instead. He shrieks and pulls his hand away, staring at it. No scratch marks, but it was a really close call. Sarah lets out a moan behind him. She pulls more eagerly now, as though she can sense she's almost free. The heater is hanging by one stubborn hinge now. There is only one thing to do. Ryan jumps down from the ladder and steps towards Sarah. "Turn away, Caleb." "What are you gonna do?" Caleb croaks. "Turn away." Caleb turns away. Ryan tightens his grip on the pipe. He looks down, not wanting to face Sarah. "Come on, you can do it. It's not Sarah anymore. Don't look at it. It's not Sarah." He counts to 3. Then he steps forward and raises the pipe. Just as he swings it, his eyes lock with Sarah. It takes off some of the force of the blow, but he still hits his target with an audible slam. Sarah stumbles sideways and falls to her knees. It doesn't seem to bother her, though. She simply gets back up and resumes her tireless effort to get to him. Don't look at it. But he can't help it. He stares at Sarah's face. It looks all wrong. Like her skull has been bent out of shape. Her cheekbone is pressed inwards. The skin under her eye is bulging, causing the eye to squeeze shut. Her mouth is contorted into a crooked snarl. Holy shit. What did I do? Ryan feels the nausea come rolling up into his throat. He drops the pipe with a loud clanging. He can't hit her again. No way. He squeezes his fingers into his temples. What do we do? What the fuck do we do? He looks up at the hatch again, and an idea comes to mind. It's crazy, but it just might work, and he's pretty sure he can do it. After all, he didn't know the zombie girl like he knew Sarah. He hasn't even seen her face. It wouldn't feel personal. He hopes. "Caleb," he mutters, "hand me the knife." As Caleb goes to the table to get the knife, Ryan uses the pipe to reach the towel that Sarah had been using as a pillow before she died. She reaches for him hungrily, but he makes sure to keep a safe distance. "I need your help," he tells Caleb. "I'll catch her arm with this towel so she can't scratch us. Then you hold it while I cut." "Cut?" Caleb asks, looking puzzled for a moment, but then he catches on, and his expression turns to horror. Still, he nods bravely. Ryan goes to the hatch and uses the towel to catch the flailing arm. The zombie child starts struggling, but Ryan manages to wrap the hand tightly. "Here," he says over his shoulder, "take it." Caleb comes closer, reaches out hesitantly and grabs hold of the towel. "Grip it firmly," Ryan demands. When he feels sure Caleb has a confident grip, he lets go, bends down, and grabs the knife. Stepping back up on the ladder, he mutters, Right, here we go." He picks out a spot right below the elbow and puts the blade to the skin. He takes a breath. His stomach feels like it might turn itself inside out any moment. He tries not to think of the photos from the album. Do it. Your own and Caleb's lives depend on it. Do it now. Ryan closes his eyes and cuts. The blade sinks into the arm way too easily. It cuts through the dead meat like it is butter. He feels the cool liquid spurting out, drenching his hand and dripping onto his t-shirt. There is no audible reaction from the zombie child, and she doesn't even try to pull back her arm. She just keeps struggling to get free of the towel so she can grab one of them. Ryan cuts even deeper and feels the knife hit something hard. It's the bone. He bites down hard and pushes with all his strength, wriggling the knife back and forth in a sawing motion. It doesn't give, so he increases the pressure even further, grabbing the knife with both hands, leaning sideways, putting his whole body into the task. Come on, someone snarls, and Ryan realizes it's him. His arms are shaking, his muscles are aching with the effort. The growling of the zombie child fills his ears. Then, suddenly a loud crack as the bone gives. It's more due to the pressure than the knife.